Hello, I rarely do reviews of different cables and other related accessories, but there are some models that I simply cannot skip, and Dunu Hulk is just a great example of that. Unfortunately, I didn't have a chance to review Dunu's recently released flagship model 4001, their multi-driver hybrid model. But in all reviews, every single reviewer noticed that stock cable is really nice, and the feature with switchable connectors is really good. Dunu decided to develop this idea, and they released improved version of that cable that was bundled in 4001. They decided to release it separately, and they give this cable name Hulk. Actually, it's exactly the case when name totally corresponds the item. And actually they priced it at $300. It's pretty expensive, so it's the most expensive cable that I've got on my reviews. But anyway, I've got interesting experience with this cable, so now let's have a closer look. Package is pretty stylish with nice polygraphy, good combination of glossy and regular paper, nice texture. Looks pretty good. On the back side there are technical specifications, 1.2 meter length, and it's copper leads with total 672 pieces of tiny copper wires. Probably there are versions with 78mm connectors, but I've got MMCX one, probably the most universal, but not always. There are pretty lot of models with another connectors. As usual, in such package it's hard to push this outer cover to pull it, but actually I've succeeded. Short manual and actually cable itself. Let me pull the connectors out. And put it aside. So, first thing that you will notice, cable is really thick. It's probably the thickest cable I've got. It has nice dark brown color, but actually let's start from this part with MMCX connectors. Nice matching of colors, even connectors have brown color, same as cable. There are ear hooks formed, but no memory wire effect, but anyway they provide secure hold of cable. And actually, despite being pretty thick, cable is not really hard. It's not the softest one, but it's not the hardest one. It has enough flexibility to be reliable in everyday usage. So it's not heavy actually, or at least not as heavy as you can expect for such cable. But it got pretty big splitter and chin slider, and that's good because the weight of the splitter will pull the cable down and it will hold securely over the ears. And here it goes perfectly braided way down below to the jack. Because of that replaceable mechanism, actually here is the description how it should be done. Just put it here and pull this part. So here used 4-pin connector, so it's balanced one, and you can get almost all modern connectors if you need. So 2.5mm balanced, regular 3.5mm, 3.5mm balanced. I really like it with 360 with QLS 361, and Pentacon that is getting more and more attention nowadays. And you can easily, actually here is small notch here, and here is small hole, so you need to connect it in the right orientation. Because of this lock, of course, jack became a bit bigger, so you need to be careful not to apply the force here, because it can damage the socket. But it's really really reliable connector, providing good connection quality, and it's pretty easy to disconnect. Just pull and it will be disconnected, and with click it goes back. So cable is nice, it has almost zero microphonic, it's not getting hard when it's cold outside, but I think it's something that you can definitely expect. And actually it's pretty good in terms of usability. Even with small in-ear monitors, it stays good on its place. And of course about the sound, just to give an idea how it looks with in-ear monitors, here is Campfire Audio Solaris. But it's definitely not the only model that I've used for testing. And also, just to give the idea of how it looks on the other side, you can see it with a lot of puff gold touch, a lot of paw gold touch. I'm trying to improve my English, so as you can see, jack is pretty big, so you should be careful anyway. And I need probably to say a few words of not introduction, maybe it's kind of disclaimer. There are a lot of discussions around the cables and their impact on the sound, so I'm really far from the typical ideas that is popular in the audiophiliac world, like silver makes sound brighter, copper adds more warmth. I don't think that materials themselves are making any kind of difference. I'm pretty sure that difference is caused by the soldering quality, by the connectors, by the impedance, by the capacity, and other electronic characteristics of the cable, but anyway they do make a difference. Don't expect huge like night and day difference. I sometimes in some cable reviews I notice that like with this cable earphones or headphones started sounding much better or something like that. No, cable definitely makes change. I did a lot of blind A/B tests. My wife hates cables. She hates helping me in these A/B tests, but anyway, they make a change. But cable is only a way to squeeze a bit of sonic improvement. But actually, it's sometimes it's not even an improvement. It's just a change, because it depends on many aspects. And so I did A/B tests. Difference is present. It's first. Second is difference isn't big. At second. Third, there is no common difference. Some cables with different with different earphones can change sound in different ways. Usually there are something in common, so there is some kind of average change, but sometimes there are earphones that gives you totally opposite situation. Usually it depends on what is a stock cable for earphones. For example, I've a few times when I was reviewing models like BGVP DM6, for example, or some other Chinese models, their stock cables are awful, and almost any other normal cable did drastic noticeable change. But in many cases, and with some high-end in-ear monitors, change will be small because their stock cables are good. Also, usually dynamic drivers are less sensitive to the cable swapping, and multi-driver balanced armature models or hybrid models with crossover are more impacted by the cable changing. What else I can say about cable? So I think I shared my opinion on that matter enough. And what you can expect with this cable most of all. Usually it's considered that copper cables are making sound thicker, weightier, adding more low frequencies. But actually in this case this cable definitely makes bass, well, not definitely, in most situations this cable makes bass more punchy, so it's adding a bit of weight. At the same time it's not adding quantity, just adding weight, and it's also making bass a bit deeper. Not always, but in many cases. Also, it changes the imaginary stage a little bit. Maybe it's because of changes in the representation, but actually this cable makes vocal sounding a bit more intimate. It's kind of pushing vocal forward, it sounds closer to the listener. In some situations it gives better depth in staging, but actually in some cases, but it's really rare, I didn't like this effect. But in many cases, especially for example with jazz music, with blues, it's definitely interesting change that I liked. And probably maybe it could be named unexpected effect, because usually it's more common for the silver-plated cables, at least reviewers say so. So it improves also treble, and actually it improves treble extension and layering just a little bit. Of course, if earphones are capable of doing that themselves, because if there is no layering in the earphones on treble, you won't get it with any single cable. So it improves treble a little bit, making it a bit more extended. So to summarize everything about the sonic change, most noticeable change is low frequencies. They became more weighty and a bit deeper. It also making stage a bit deeper by moving vocal forward. Sometimes, in many cases, it sounds as an improvement, but in some cases I didn't like that, but it's really rare cases. And also it improves a bit layering and extension on treble, so it improves both ends of sonic spectrum. But once again, I need to admit, don't expect a big change. You know, cable won't make bad earphones or headphones sound good. It's just a way of tune sound a little bit. So to summarize everything, Dunu Hulk is definitely a nice cable. It's super reliable, you know, it's thickest cable I've got. It's pretty comfortable despite being thick and a bit heavy. It's really comfortable, and definitely it will give you the best versatility with this swappable connector, so you can use it with any source. And of course, well, it's not the cheapest one, but at the same time it's not the most expensive. So if you're looking for some really universal cable, I can recommend you pay close attention to it. Thank you for attention.